Hello, freaks of the nation. Welcome to GOAT, the greatest podcast on the planet. My name is Seb, and I am riddled by constant underlying anxiety. I'm joined, as always, by my two great friends and moderately good co-hosts, Mork and Vinny. How the bloody hell are you both doing?
Bloody good, mate.
Bloody good?
Mate. How you doing, mate? What you been up to?
Me or Mork?
You.
Well, it'd be no surprise to anyone that I moved the boat on the weekend. I also had a boat barbecue, or a boat barbecue, as I called it.
No, you can't call it a boat barbecue.
Why not?
Was it on the boat?
It was next to the boat.
It's not a boat barbecue then, is it? It's a on the grass barbecue.
It's a barbecue next to a boat.
On a verge.
It was boat related. It was quite literally boat adjacent. And nice. It's just been a pretty solid couple days.
It's been lovely and sunny, isn't it?
Been lovely and sunny. I had my cock out.
Lovely and sunny. Wait,
what?
Did you die on Monday and get reborn on Tuesday?
What do you mean?
Are you joking? Did it not rain on Monday?
Yeah, but other than that, it was fine.
What do you mean? It fucking smashed it down all day, like horrendous.
Yeah, but it's been sunny again today. It doesn't, one day of rain doesn't outdo a nice weekend.
Oh, no, but it's fucking annoying.
The weekend was lovely.
The weekend was good.
The weekend was safe, yeah.
I had my shirt off.
That's great.
Had my pants off.
Mork, what you got up to in the weekends? Anything good?
What did I get up to on the weekend? I had a 4-year-old throwing up all weekend, so that was fun.
Sweet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I hear your penis is getting cut off soon.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a little about that?
I've got my date for my penis. The thing is, my cock is so big that they actually have to cut it off for medical studies.
That's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, side effect, you can't have any more kids. I was like, well, I got to do my bit for science. It's
a fucking elephant's trunk. That's what they said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, it said, my friend told me that their doctor said don't shave your balls, but on my letter it says shave your balls. So I'm going to make it look really nice for Doctor whatever his name is.
Are you going to do anything with your top half, like draw a little smiley face
Hit
or
mustache? Also, I got a little stat sheet. It's a very nice private clinic. I'm not paying for it. It's NHS, but it's a nice private clinic, and the doctor's got like a little stat sheet. It says he has performed over 6,000 of these procedures, and I was like, oh yeah, what's his fucking XG?
Yeah, it doesn't say what his success rate is. It just says
his expected success rate.
Yeah, that's a little low. He's not got a good conversion rate.
So
great to hear.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Vinny, you done anything this week?
The fam came over on the Sunday, visited them.
They came to your house?
Came to Bristol city centre. I met them in the town.
Where Vinny lives, in a box.
In a box, yeah.
Next to the train station.
It wasn't a long walk to the aquarium because, my cardboard box is just outside the Pizza Hut, which is, you can see the aquarium from there. But yeah, we went to the aquarium, it was great. Saw my nephew. He's a cute little 2-year-old who is literally the size of like a 6-year-old. It's insane. People keep thinking he's a lot older than he is, and he's like, just a fucking baby still. But yeah, it was good. So my brother came down from Saudi for like a work thing, so he was in town. So we all sort of came and visited him, and it was really nice. Had a beer and discussed HBO's Rome with him.
Nice. Classic. I'm so glad he's still into the Romans after 20 years that I've known him. Yeah, I'm so glad the Romans, he's still into that.
Speaking of great TV shows.
Yeah. Oh, fucking pinged one in off the right. Okay, wow, look. This is my intro. Are you all ready? Look. TV. It's fucked, mate. It's literally one of the most mental things that's ever happened. 100 years ago-ish, nobody had a telly. And then in the late 20s, someone made a telly and it blew everyone's minds. Now, since then, what's going on? What are you having?
Yes.
Carry on.
Just describing every invention ever.
Well, it's not.
Before they invented dildos, no one had dildos. Then they invented them, and it blew women's minds. Now every woman has a dildo.
Well, that wouldn't be
Dildos
true.
are fucked, mate. What? That is true.
Not every invention blows people's minds.
All the ones that are still around basically do.
Here's
That's
the
why they're
thing,
still in
right?
it. Yeah,
Here's
go on.
the thing. Here's the thing. No one invented telly. I was looking at it for ages. It's like nuclear bombs or fucking whatever, where everyone sort of did it at the same time. So I was looking, and the closest I could find was in 1927. The American Telephone and Telegraphs Company, now known as AT&T, showed off a telly. That's it. The people have been knocking about with tellies. There's no definitive telly man, right? So look, tellies came about in the late 1920s, and it fucking changed the game. Literally, since then, fucking everything's been on telly. Moon landings on telly. 9/11 on telly. The inauguration of Barack Obama on telly. Here's the thing. None of those momentous historical events are what telly's really about. What it's really about is investing tens, if not hundreds of hours of your time into a long-running televised narrative, building an almost unbelievable sense of expectation and excitement, only for it not to be realised, and for you to take to Reddit in an angry and as part of an angry mob fueled by nachos and wanking.
Game of Thrones?
Yeah. I just don't think that. Anyway, look, I was trying to make a fucking Game of Thrones joke and I couldn't pull it out my ass. That is what we're here to talk about today. What is the greatest television show? No, what is the greatest TV series of all time?
Bum, bum, bum.
Who wants to go first?
Me.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'm recording. Right, so
What's
the first thing that when you turn on a TV show that you're presented with, unless there's a cold open?
The opening credits?
No. The theme song. All great TV shows need to have a good theme song, and this one is the most recognizable. This one's the most recognizable, and it goes like this.
Yes.
No. Like my last pick, I won't beat around the bush, as they say, in that, as they say. I'll just say, I wanted to make like a. I was on the verge of like, should I make a sex reference or shall I not, or shall I? And then I just decided not to.
Always make a sex reference.
Yeah. But anyway, this pick I was always going to pick this pick. And it is actually referred to by a lot of people and even media outlets. It has this like tagline as the greatest TV show of all time. That's what people say that it is. People say such and such, parentheses, the greatest TV show of all time. So it's good.
Cool.
And it is, of course, the AMC masterpiece, Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah, it's AMC, not HBO. I always thought it was HBO for some reason.
No, it's AMC. Yeah. Now, I think most people, if not everyone ever, has seen Breaking Bad.
Is Sebek listening?
But if you...
What?
Clearly not.
No, I am listening. I am listening.
What did I just say?
You said everyone's watched Breaking Bad, and then I pulled this face because I haven't.
Yes, I know.
Sorry,
but if you haven't,
on my notes.
Seb, listen, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, get ready for a classic Mork blow by blow of the entire run of the show from start to finish.
I don't want that. It's just about some lad who has
episode
cancer. 1. Some bloke has cancer and he starts making meth. We've all know that.
Listen, I will tell you the synopsis, all right? I'm not going to do a blow by blow at all, but I will tell you the brief synopsis.
Of the entire show, or?
Just of the premise of this is Breaking Bad in like 2 sentences or whatever. Walter White is a well-mannered, quiet, and reserved chemistry teacher who all of a sudden is diagnosed with lung cancer. He goes on a stakeout with his brother-in-law, DEA agent Hank, where he sees one of his old school students, Jesse Pinkman, cooking meth and escaping the law. Feeling like he doesn't have much time left, And feeling like he doesn't have much time left to live and wanting to leave his family with financial security after the cost of his treatment, he has a brilliant idea. He will use his superb chemistry skills to team up with Jesse and cook meth.
I have to say,
that's it.
I have to say, Breaking Bad has maybe the best premise of any TV show I've ever seen in my life. It's such a fucking interesting premise about this fish out of water, like kind of high school, kind of geeky, kind of out of touch, a bit of a doormat as well. He's portrayed as a bit of a doormat in the first episode.
He is a doormat.
Yeah,
like Hank calls him like a fucking pussy, and he like says like he gives him the gun, and Walt's like whoa, and he's like, oh, it's heavy. That's why we get real men to hold guns. And he's like,
and him going into this meth business and making the best damn meth the world has ever seen. You know, it's a great premise.
Yeah, Hank fucking annihilates him in that first episode at his own birthday party.
Hank's a bit of a dick, isn't
he? Yeah, Hank is a bit of a dick. Yeah. But we're gonna get on to that.
Isn't Bill Burr in Breaking Bad as well at some point?
Yeah.
Anyway,
only not for very long. His character's quite cool. That is the basic premise. And like Vinny just said, and I've written here, it's already pretty fucking wild, right? The premise. And the show is a 5-season-long roller coaster. And during this journey, you experience excitement, incredible tension, big surprise, insane moments, and deep explorable characters with amazing development. Talking about characters, let's hit off a few of the big ones and find out why they are such great characters and what they add to the story. Number 1, Walter White. Now, in the beginning, we just touched on this, but he is literally like the most unassuming guy in the world. Hank, who is a bit more outgoing and larger than life, thinks Walt was basically the most boring guy to have ever lived. So his transformation from this into the biggest and most ruthless drug kingpin is fucking crazy. But even though Walt seems like the protagonist, Walt isn't a hero at all. He's a fucking bad guy. Shit, I keep losing my place because I didn't put it into paragraphs because I did it on my phone. Despite his noble intentions, Walt says, he's constantly putting his family's life at risk, murdering people, and fucking over Jesse to get anything that he wants. And what he wants changes. In the beginning, Walt wants the money for his family, and that's it. All he wants is to just make money so that he can give his family financial security because he feels like he's burdening them with his cancer treatment. And it's quite a noble cause. You know, it's got noble intentions in the beginning.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, he starts to fall in love with the drug business and the power that he receives. And he becomes enthralled in it and hungry for more. He actually fucking loves his change from petty man, doormat, to a fucking badass that no one messes with. And this absolute big shot. And he basically becomes the villains who he takes down throughout the entire show. Then we have our other main character, Jesse. Now, Jesse's story is an utter tragedy. It's one of the most tragic stories in television history. Me and Vinny decided this earlier, and it's a fact now.
Yeah, I believe that, yeah, fully.
He gets pulled in by what Walt wants, against his will, and this just spirals his entire life. His loved ones die. He has a constant risk of being caught by the law for being involved in the biggest drug fucking business they've ever seen. He has constant mental breakdowns and drug addictions, and he even gets enslaved. Actual enslavement.
Yeah.
Anyone who watches this and doesn't just feel horrible for what happens to Jesse is a fucking cold person. And it perfectly juxtaposes Walt. Walt wants power, and he gets what he wants by fucking over everybody. Jesse doesn't really want anything. He just wants to be happy and enjoy his life. But he gets caught in the inescapable net that Walt creates. And he's just trapped there. Then we've got Hank, who I think is the probably the third most important character. He is the DEA brother-in-law of Walt. And his character is so important because he's investigating the Walter White case, or Heisenberg as he's known, his alter ego, for the entire run of the show. From like episode 1 to... I'm not going to give too many finale spoilers away, but right at the end, pretty close to the end, he's investigating Walt. And Walt is...
I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but it does create this super fucking cool and really gripping cat and mouse chase where one person knows both people and the other person only knows themselves. And sorry, I described it
exactly
weirdly,
so,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like Walt is literally right under Hank's nose. Like they barbecue together, they see each other like constantly, and like when Hank's like, oh, what are you up to? Walt knows. He's like, I'm the guy you're chasing, cooking all this meth. He's like, nothing. But the thing is Walt isn't a perfect criminal, so he leaves behind trails of evidence. Like he leaves his gas mask at the first crime scene, which trails back to the school. So you have that first bit of tension because like, shit, Hank's going to catch him right now. He's found the mask he used to cook the meth at the meth lab from his chemistry supply closet, and you're like, oh shit. But Hank doesn't suspect Walt. He's the most boring guy in the entire world, so he can easily shrug it off. And these little crumbs carry on throughout the whole run of the show. And the constant fear of being caught, the tension of all of these moments, it doesn't need building up. It's just a constant underpin. But it does build up at loads of points to like an unbreakable level. And when Hank finally figures out who Walt is in the final season, it's that whole tension. Imagine like 80 something episodes of tension, and then someone just poof, blows it. The feeling of that like air just going through the room.
Is that the bit that's in all the memes where Hank like falls out the car and he's like choking and his head's spinning?
No.
That's when he's like having a panic.
That's like he has a panic
season
attack
2 or something.
Because he gets shot by some bad guys.
He has like PTSD. He has all PTSD.
It's where he sat on the toilet and he's like, "To WW, my greatest love," and he realizes that Walt when he took.
Oh, sorry. That's sorry. Yeah, Karen, sorry.
Yeah, because what Hank like consulted Walt about who WW was, because I was like a poem in this drug cook's, but he had this drug cook had like a book. And it was being trained by Walter White, so the WW standard for Walter White. And Hank's like, WW, who's that? Walt, who do you think that is? And Walt's like, oh, I think it's this writer. He's called like Willie Williamson or something.
Walt Whitman.
Walt Whitman, yeah. And then Hank's like, could be. And he's like, could be Walter White. And Walt's like, oh, you got me. And they're like, hey.
Yeah.
And then later, Hank sat on the toilet.
The thing is, that's a tense scene because he has a pretty big damning evidence on Walter White. It literally a note to Walter White in this very hot item. Yeah.
And Walt was so confident that he's just like, you got me. Because Hank would never suspect Walt, but he eventually figures it out and he sat on the toilet and he's like, WW, and he's like, Walter White, and he's like, oh shit, and he fucking clicks and he's like, together. Oh shit. And like we see this like insane reaction. He like suppresses his rage. Like this is his fucking brother-in-law, and he's like suppressing his rage. Like so, he gets in his car and just drives to go and like kill him. And then he's like, no, I need to take him down in the proper way. So like you could build up to this like insane moment that you think is going to happen, and then just pulls you back down again, really slowly, just so that it can build you back up again. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I could go on and on and on about how all the characters are great. I could talk about Skylar and her relationship with Walt and the roller coaster that she goes through, Saul Goodman, Gustavo Fring, all these guys. Like I maybe could have spoken a bit more about Saul, but
Better Call Saul.
I don't have time. Better Call Saul. I don't have time to talk about all these guys. Could have talked about Flynn.
Gustavo Fring is like, I've not seen a lot. Like, I've not watched the show, but I get a lot of clips on like my YouTube reels and stuff. And he seems to have like the most menacing, calm demeanor.
He's terrifying.
I've seen that bit where the two Mexican guys like go in and they're like eating his fast food and they're like, I'd love to speak to the manager. And he's like, you're talking to the manager. no fucking way. And it's just like such a cold interaction.
Yeah.
And like, there's something kind of terrifying about the way that he still kind of like, you know what he's up to, but he still works the chicken shop. Like he still like goes and fills up people's drinks, and he like.
It's because he's like a.
What makes him so scary, I think, is the fact that he has these two faces that are so polar opposite, but they're so convincing. He is this really nice, upstanding citizen who donates to charities, a ruthless
businessman,
goes on fun runs, helps out to the police, pays, gets money to the police.
And it's genuine.
Is genuine and like is like great to his staff, great to like customers. But then the other side of him, this calculating, this cold, high crime boss, whatever. He's high up in the drug business, and he got there for a reason, and he stayed.
Well, he got there by poisoning and murdering half the drug cartel.
That's the thing.
At their own house. And I think Gus as well. Like if we're going to speak about him for a minute, he doesn't fuck about, and he is deadpan the whole time. So when he's being nice and genuine, you're like, oh, I believe it. And then like when he gets revealed as this monster, he's like been deadpan the whole time. He's like a respectful businessman. Walt loves him for that. And then Walt and Jesse fuck something up, and he just, without saying an entire word, this whole bit, and it's really slow. He puts on this like overalls and stuff. He's all deadpan. He goes up to one of his own guys, like his own worker, picks up a knife and just slits his throat in front of Walt and Jesse. And he's just holding this guy dying, completely deadpan, as if to say, like, I've been nice, but this is what I can do and I will do, and I will not feel any emotion. And then he doesn't say anything. He drops the knife and he gets changed and walks out. He doesn't say a word the whole time. And Walt and Jesse are just there like, fuck!
Even Mike's in that scene, and he's like, the right-hand man of Gus. He's his strength, and he is like, oh my fucking god, I didn't know.
They pushed him too far.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck. So yeah, the characters are there's no flaws. They're all perfect. Like, they can't be improved upon. They're all incredible. And a quick note, the acting as well, amazing. Like Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. And I can't remember the guy who plays Gus, his name, but they fucking knock it out of the park. They're all amazing. There's a couple side actors that, like, some of the lines might be cheesy, but it doesn't really matter. The main cast are incredible.
Bob Odenkirk as
Saul Goodman. Got his own show. Won nearly just as many awards as Breaking Bad did in the end. Now, another thing that makes the show great is the fact that it doesn't glamorize or show Walt as a hero. And this is why the show's vastly different from other things. He is an anti-hero, but as the audience, we're kind of rooting for him. We want him to not get caught. He is like the protagonist. But the show is really careful not to show him as wholly good, and his actions hurt people, and it hurts people that the audience cares about. And it's really important in a story like this, because I think about things like The Wolf of Wall Street. And even though he does have a bit of a downfall, it just completely glamorizes all the drugs and crime he commits. Like Wolf of Wall Street's a fucking cool guy.
Yeah, it's
an adventure. It does not show the message of fuck, this stuff's bad. Whereas Breaking Bad doesn't do this one bit. Walt leaves a massive trail of bodies behind him, and we see the effects his drugs have on people and how it wrecks their lives. Walt even refuses to intervene when Jesse's girlfriend is dying from a drug overdose when he could save her life, just because he wants Jesse all to himself, which is fucking cold. And this in turn directly causes an airplane crash, killing hundreds. Walt is a fucking bad guy. And I think the show deserves a tremendous amount of praise for this, because it's very easy to make Walt a cool badass who everyone's rooting for. But this is far more realistic and deep. And as an audience, you are conflicted. You see the horrors Walt does, and you're like, should I be rooting for him? Should I not just want Hank to get him right now? Like, he's such a fucking asshole. But you always do kind of root for him. And it's those are big emotions in TV shows are what makes TV shows great. If everything was just boring, run of the mill, what would be the point in doing this episode? Exactly. Now, finally, I want to talk about the pacing of the show, and this will go back to what I said about that tension building and dropping off. Because I've occasionally heard this show be called slow, and sometimes, this is blasphemous, so Vinny, cover your ears, boring.
What?
Now, personally, I think the people that are saying that, their favorite films are probably Fast and Furious, and they can't watch anything for like longer than 60 minutes, and the whole thing has to be car chases, guns, and high octane. And if one character has any development in any moment, they're bored and they have to switch off because their attention span is so tiny. Seb.
What the fuck are you chatting?
He's on his good side. He's judging us.
But it's because he smiled when I said Fast and Furious, because I know he loves those films. I'm not actually directing this at you, Seb, but Fast and Furious was the only thing I could think about. It wasn't actually a dig at you. It was just the perfect media for the type of people that say Breaking Bad is boring. They probably love Fast and Furious.
I mean, I will say I did try and start Breaking Bad and did find it boring. So fair play. You've judged me perfectly. I don't think that's. I'm sure it's one of those shows like once you get to know all the characters and like the intricacies of it, it like builds to a point. But like, I just wasn't. I'm sure maybe I'll give it another go, but I just wasn't vibing.
For me,
it's because it's not high octane all the time. That's the thing, Seb. You need to let yourself be involved in the world building. But like I said, that's fine. In this, I said that's fine. If you like what you like, but it doesn't mean that Breaking Bad is boring. It has absolutely perfect pacing for what it's trying to do. We as an audience are supposed to feel everything Walt feels and the tension and stress that he goes through living this double life and trying to keep his secret. That means that when the show slows down, it is on purpose, because the stakes might be low in that moment, but the tension is always there. The tension is always at a high level. Hank might get him. Gus might decide to murder him. This other thing might happen. They're always in the background, which creates the tension. And it's always building slowly and creeping you further to the edge of your comfort zone, because then when it does explode, it goes off like a fucking bang. There'll be a frantic rush. A piece of evidence might be left behind. So all of a sudden it's like just fucking 100 miles an hour. And we see like Walt dropping everything, getting in his car, like screeching down the road to try and cover his tracks or rescue Jesse or confront the villain or hide evidence from Hank. And then when that's over and the tension's dropped, that like big moment's finished, it will slow down again. But the tension never dips to a safety point. It's just waiting to go back up the roller coaster, ready to go again, building back up again slowly towards the next climactic moment. It's basically edging, which I didn't write in there, but I just thought about. Like, it is literally keeping you on the edge of like, oh shit, all the time. And then occasionally it just goes like boom, and then it gets you back down to like, oh shit. You never feel safe when you're watching Breaking Bad. And it like really, it keeps you on the absolute edge the entire run of the show. There's so much tension and jeopardy created in this world that you can never ever relax as the audience, because you just know something crazy could happen right around the corner, because crazy stuff is always in the background. But then when that corner turns and there's nothing there, you try to put your guard down, but you know it's coming around the next corner. Like, you can't anticipate anything because it's always on a fucking knife edge. It's a thrill ride from start to finish, and it's built around the incredible characters, the great storyline, the plot devices. Breaking Bad is it's a master of Chekhov's gun. Like, it will show you Walt's secret ricin poison, only for it not to be seen for like 2 entire seasons, but then come back and a child gets poisoned and the whole fucking world gets flipped on its head and goes crazy. Which is insane, because you completely forget, like, Chekhov's gun is always in the back of your mind. Like, you know that spider that was shown like 10 minutes ago is going to come in a second. But it tries its best to break that rule and just drop things.
Is Chekhov's gun the thing that's like, if you show a gun,
it has to be fired.
It has to be fired. Yeah. Show it being fired.
Yeah. So they show you the ricin and then they drop it for like 2 seasons. And so you think, oh, maybe they actually are never going to. Oh no, bang. And they get you at the time when you do not expect it. There's no like anticipation of what's going to happen. The cinematography is top notch. Like, it has a really good diverse soundtrack as well. Like, the shot composition is great. The thing is, I couldn't talk about all this stuff because we'd be here for ages. I've already gone on for ages. The soundtrack is awesome. I didn't know there was like a Deadmau5 track in there, which is cool. Like, they have like Western music, they have like hip hop, they have all this stuff, and every single song fits perfectly. They all add to the show. They're really, like I've put in my last paragraph here, there's so much I could say about the show. I could literally talk about Walt's character development for 15 minutes easily alone, So I haven't really even scratched the surface of what makes Breaking Bad the GOAT. But hopefully I've given just enough, because in my opinion, it honestly is the greatest TV show of all time. I've seen it, I think, 5 times the whole way through. It's that good. I'm always entertained. I know what's happening. It's so good. And if you've not seen it, just watch it. You will not regret it. It's not called the greatest TV show of all time for nothing.
Fair play. Well, that is quite... You're clearly very passionate about it. And it's one of those things that I know that it's good. People really like it. And I hear everything you said. And I watch clips of it and I'm like, this is fucking great. And I do think you've kind of maybe given more insight into why it's so good. But I do think it's so subjective, isn't it? Such a because I'm hearing everything you're saying, but I'm like, but I watched it and I found it boring.
Yeah, but just because, but the thing is, you have to take subjectivity out of this, Seb.
Oh, yeah.
You do. Yeah, to be fair.
Because you might not like it, that's absolutely fine. But just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's not the greatest thing of all time.
But I want to I want to recognize that what it did. It was like one of those big, like the first big Netflix show that I remember everyone talking about. Did it come out on Netflix at the same time?
So it was on another thing, and they stopped giving money to them in like the 3rd season. And there's a few episodes in the 3rd season which are really weird. The notorious one is The Fly, where the whole episode is Walt and Jesse chasing a fly around the meth lab.
They ran out of budget, so they just filmed.
They ran out of budget because the TV company weren't giving them any money. But the episode actually has a lot of character development in it, like the talking between the. It does. There are little bits that
I don't think there's character development. I think there's just like, this is kind of where we are right now. This is how we feel. These are the things that are going on, which I think is good because it re-emphasizes like, oh yeah, kind of forgot about that bit. But like, yeah, that kind of.
If you're watching it for the first time, you shouldn't skip that episode. But maybe on rewatches, you could probably skip it.
Yeah, that's what I do.
But anyway, yeah, at that time, the TV company stopped giving them any money, and then like Vince Gilligan praised Netflix when they won like they won over 100 awards by the finale. And he praised Netflix for basically that, because they bought the rights to the show at that point and gave them as much money as they wanted, basically, so they could finish the show. And it boosted Netflix subscriptions like,
yeah.
Because I bought Netflix because of Breaking Bad when it was in like 2013 or whatever, 2012.
Wow, that was very interesting. And I can't wait to hear what Vinny's picked. But before that,
Match of the Day 2.
How did you know?
Aren't you glad I didn't pick Ancient Aliens?
Yes, very glad.
I had this whole thing in my head where I was like, it's the craziest TV show of all time because they give you this incredible historical thing. And just when you least expect it, you think, there's no way it can be. There's no way it can be. It's aliens. And you're like, oh!
It's always aliens every time.
Aliens. You're like, oh shit, I can't believe aliens did that.
I can't believe it.
Aliens killed Osama bin Laden. What?
The best thing as well is it always, like, my favorite thing about Ancient Aliens is it always hinges on some really dubious bit of evidence. Yeah. Like, that's like, but they're like, they talk about it like it's so factual. They're like, right, so this guy, right, he has this big metal rod. And I remember watching one of them where it was like, so this Native American tribe was given this big metal rod and they carved all these symbols on it. And then they do the whole thing. And then right at the end, they're like, so the rod that you've actually seen the whole episode, they lost the original rod and this guy just made this rod because he thought that's probably what it looked like. And you're like, wait, so that isn't the thing. Like that's just a prop.
Yeah, I've seen this. It's like a 4 or 5 hour video on YouTube that's just like someone going through and just like being like, okay, this is a claim made by Ancient Aliens. This is why it's definitely not true in like every way, shape, and form. And it's just going through every single thing. No, it's quite fascinating to watch because like the things they come up with are like, what the fuck? This is so stupid.
So my favorite ones are just the wall carving. Yeah. Like they go, this structure, we've done the maths. It's impossible to be constructed ever. We couldn't do it now. And it's like, well, we could. We built a fucking spaceship. And it's like, the only possible explanation is this cave painting or like stone carving. And if you look at it, it is not a humanoid. What could it be? Must be an alien. It's like, fucking hell.
Or it'd be like, if you look at this stone carving and then they're like, but if you look at it from this angle and they like tilt the
Yeah,
screen.
they do it, and they like highlight around the
Right.
bits that you can't even see to make a
Yeah,
snake,
what?
and you're like, oh shit, and it's like snakes didn't even exist back then, so it must be an alien snake.
I love it.
Like, but bro, you're like, let's pretend snakes didn't exist back. People have imaginations. I could draw any creature on this desk right now that I've never ever seen before, and that's an alien.
Incredible. Anyway, I have devised.
Ancient aliens.
You should have. I would have definitely picked it. Look, here's the quiz. So what I've done is I found a list of the most watched TV programs in Great Britain every year for the last half century. And what we're going to do is one of those question and answer. You know, you say, is it a sporting event? And I go, no.
Like 20 questions.
And then
okay.
20 questions.
Cool.
And it's the first person to guess what the event is.
Can we ask a question
we just
then
guess?
guess on that, or do we have to
Yes, yeah,
wait?
you can ask a question and then guess. And also,
Can you just shout out the answers?
only if it's your turn. However, what I will say is, Vinny's going to go
Are you
first.
thinking of one, or are we trying to guess the top 10? Hang on.
No, I'm thinking. So I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to give you the year that it was the. But what I will say is, the year in some cases is quite important.
Right.
So if I
Well, obviously,
say
if it's
the
like
year,
2021, you're like the Euro final.
well,
Yes.
exactly. So if I say a year and you get it straight away, you can both shout out above each other. So
Right.
Vinny goes first, provided you don't both know it straight away. And then it's
Right.
just the first person I hear, all right?
Okay.
Sorry, these rules are a bit
This is
complicated.
getting way more complicated. Let's go.
Okay. So this, and I'm actually going to give you the full date. This television broadcast was broadcast on the 22nd of November, 1963. Vinny, your first question. Quite an obvious one. I'm not going to do anything like stupid. It's going to be like big stuff.
Is it a program about the Korean War?
No.
1963.
Is it MASH? I'm guessing it anyway. Maybe I got the country wrong.
It's not MASH.
Okay.
Does it involve America?
Yes.
Is it me? Is it a sci-fi?
No.
Does someone die?
Yes.
Is it the assassination of JFK?
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. It's the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be like a TV show.
No. Sorry. I said
Any broadcast thing?
It's the most watched broadcast that year. My apologies, Vinny.
Sorry. Okay.
Sorry, I should have made that more clear.
It's fine.
Okay. I'm going to ignore that one because it is way too obvious. And I'm going to go...
Coronation of King Charles.
No. I'm going to go for...
Oh, it was
Michael...
probably 1966.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was the next one I saw. Probably get that. The next one that I'm going to pick is the 8th of March, 1971.
Oh, I don't know the 70s. It's all a blur.
I will give it to you if you can give me a rough approximation of the event. You don't have to give me the entire thing, which will become like once you start to ask some questions, you'll work out one.
Is it a sporting event?
Yes.
1971 sporting event.
Is it Italia 90?
Bingo. 1971 sporting event. Is it a football event?
It's not football, no.
Oh,
Okay.
does it involve cars?
No.
Oh, I was going to guess like the famous Formula One crash or something.
No. It's
Because then
bigger
it could be
it's,
in Formula One, but
Is this
it's an enormous sporting moment.
1971? Is it a sport that's big in America?
Yes.
Is it to do with the Olympics?
No.
That's not a World Cup year.
1971. Is it O.J. Simpson's first game?
It's not O.J. Simpson's first game, but it's not a bad shout, something like that.
Yeah.
Because he was like, when he was drafted, it was a big deal.
It was
but no,
around
it wasn't
then
O-
as well, at the 70s,
Yeah.
something like that. I remember
That was a sweet guess.
That was a really good game.
Does the sport involve a ball?
No.
Fuck.
It's really obvious.
nothing
me
to
to
do with
give
the
you-
Olympics, but
No.
I think Mork just hit more.
Oh God. Is it? I don't know. Is it an athletics sport?
No.
Is it Rumble in the Jungle?
Do you know, I'll give you the point. It's Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier for the fight of the century.
That is Rumble in the Jungle, isn't
Forgot
it?
about boxing.
Is it? I don't know
Was
which
that
one.
Thriller in Manila?
I think it's Thriller. I can't remember which is which anymore, but yeah, I'll give it to you.
I'm pretty sure I even covered that fight. No, I did the other one.
You
George
did Rumble in the
Foreman.
Jungle.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to move forward quite a lot to the 8th of October.
This is
So
a fun game, by the way. I like this.
Yeah, this is a fun game.
I'm glad. So this is the 8th of October, 1981, and I'm going to give you both a big clue because I think it's a bit misleading. It's a film. So it was a TV film premiere. So it's a big film shown on TV that.
Right, okay. So we're looking for the film, 1981,
You say TV
shown
film?
on TV.
No, so it's
Like the first, like, you know, when the BBC will show like Finding Nemo.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of
Black
those. So
Christmas.
it was a big blockbuster film, one of the biggest blockbuster films ever, shown on TV that year on the BBC. No, on ITV. I tell you.
Who's asking the first question?
So it would be Mork, wouldn't it? Because you just went.
Yeah.
1981. Is it a horror movie?
Of sorts, yeah.
Well,
Kind of.
that's not helpful, is it, or is it not?
I wouldn't say it's yeah.
Right.
It has horror elements to it. It's definitely graphic, but it's not like a true horror.
It's not like The Exorcist.
No.
1981, mildly horror.
Oh, it's not Freddy Got Fingered, is it? That's horrific.
23.3 million people watched this live.
That's a lot in 1981.
Huge.
Better be good.
Is it a sci-fi film?
No.
Name an actor that's in it.
No.
You can't do that.
Damn it! I don't fucking know. Have I seen it? Have I seen it?
Yes, you've definitely.
Have I actually definitely seen it?
Absolutely, categorically, you have definitely.
1981.
It's gonna be so funny when I haven't seen it.
And Vinny's also definitely seen it.
Is it a
Metropolis.
Okay, that was a great joke.
Which we all
50
watched.
episodes in the meet.
Obviously my favourite film I've ever watched.
I still go back and watch those like fun facts about Metropolis sometimes.
Same, it's so
where
good.
it's just like she got pardoned by Hitler. A bunch
No,
of kids
but that's
died.
not the one. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not the one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, it's like, oh yeah, she was
Redecide
she
is
killed loads of
Jewish.
people in car crashes. I guess she wasn't very good at driving, and we're
Yeah.
all laughing. You're like, no, that's not it. She got pardoned by Hitler.
You were like, oh, that's
Yeah.
a great fun fact. It's like, that's not the fun fact. The fun fact is she
fun fact
pardoned
is she
by
got-
Hitler.
Yeah.
Oh god.
anyway.
Right.
Oh, that's
It's
a
not,
goat
it's not
moment.
Metropolis.
Sorry, no, oh, fuck. I felt like I had it for a second there. So what we have?
I'm so sorry.
1981.
1981. It's a sort of horror adjacent big film that you have, and I can't stress this enough, definitely both watched.
Oh fuck! I had it for a second.
I can't spell this out enough. One of you's fucking talked about it on the show, this film.
I know it. I know what it is.
Oh man, I'm going to kick myself so hard for it, aren't I?
I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I've got a good guess anyway.
Oh, hang on.
What's up?
One of you didn't talk about it on the show. I talked about it.
You talked about it on the show.
You talked
shit,
about it
it's
on the
not
show. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's the horror movie he did for Goat Horror Movie? I was really ill that day, so I can't remember.
It's not. It wasn't for Goat Horror Movie. We didn't do it then.
Yeah, because it'd be full horror then. You've talked about it, 1980s.
I'll give you another clue because you're struggling. It was one of the episodes where we had the most technical difficulties in which I talked about it.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, Godzilla.
No.
Oh.
Jaws.
It's Jaws. Jaws the shark.
You did
Jaws.
Godzilla, bro.
Jaws was, 81. Yeah, I was thinking of Godzilla 85.
Jaws the shark.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Morg's got three for three so far. You're really good at this. Okay.
It.
So I'm going to do another one, and this is again like a huge TV.
Jaws is a
moment.
horror movie.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
But
absolutely
it-
a horror film. Yeah,
People get
Okay.
eaten by a fucking shark. What else happens? It's not an action adventure movie.
it's a
I
horror
thought it was
film,
more of a thriller, but anyway. So on 13th of July 1985, 2.5 million people tuned in to watch this on the BBC. Morg
Something
to
like
serve. No, Vinny to serve. Sorry.
Was it politically activated?
Ooh.
I think I know what it is already.
It's politically adjacent. It's world politics adjacent.
Is it something to do with the Queen?
No.
Fuck.
Was this event in America?
Yes, part of it was.
Is it the first
Famously-
G7 summit?
Famously,
It could have been.
it could have been.
That
It could have
involves
been.
all these
they
global
televised?
I'm
politics.
giving you a lot of hints, but I think it's more fun this way. It's more pop culture political than like, it's not like, yeah.
Oh, the guy with a welly on his head.
Who asked the question more? Did you ask like a
Yeah.
or was
I asked if it was the G7 summit.
okay,
Yeah.
Vinny, yeah. Vinny to serve.
1985. World politics. Adjacent. Whatever that means. Is it a sporting event?
No.
Did someone die?
Not during the event, but the event was based on people dying.
The Vietnam War finishing?
No.
D-Day?
D-Day. No, it wasn't D-Day.
Oh, damn it.
Huge, and it took place in the UK and the US. Give you that.
Oh, it's not 9/11. Took place in the UK. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Just guess.
Go
Vinny?
for it.
The Gulf War? First Gulf War?
No, you're way too.
You said people died.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, people did die. Yeah, the event is about people dying.
AIDS.
it's-
Oh. Is it is it like Live Aid or
It's
Africa?
Live Aid.
Band-Aid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like AIDS. Oh shit! What's the music? Band-Aid.
yeah. No, you're perfect. Yeah, Live Aid. Can I just say something? When you said 9/11, I just had a quick flick up to see what the most viewed broadcast in 2001 was. It was not 9/11. It was the Christmas broadcast of Only Fools and Horses.
Well, that was in the UK, surely.
But that's still
UK.
mental.
Everyone
Yeah,
tuned in
that's
for
still crazy.
Del Boy and Roger, whatever his name. I've never even seen an episode of Only Fools and Horses.
But mate. Nah, yeah, you're right. Actually, what the fuck? I can't justify that. That's weird as fuck. We're a weird bunch.
We're a weird bunch.
So we've done
Brits.
4. I'll do 2
I think.
more.
I don't know,
Well-
I just want to just want to get to my pick.
Then he's ready to blast.
I've got a lot to talk about, so I just want.
Okay, right. Well, we'll end that there.
That was
it was
good,
a fun little
Morg's
quiz.
a champion.
Morg's a champion easily. Vinny can't bring it back.
Well played.
Also, I should have got it with AIDS. I was basically
because it's not about it's live aid, not live AIDS. It's not about AIDS, is it? Live Aid's not about AIDS.
Live AIDS.
Live Aid is about AIDS.
No, it's not. It's about starving Africans.
Yeah, it's about just.
That's Band-Aid.
No, Live Aid is not about AIDS.
What's the one?
Some sort of
what's the one? Feed the World. That's about.
That's not about AIDS. It's about
no, I know. That's
Feed the world. It's about AIDS.
The only AIDS-related thing is that Freddie Mercury had AIDS when he was doing Band-Aid.
Oh yeah, it is about famine. Damn it.
Get the famine, mate.
What's the AIDS one?
I don't think there was an AIDS one.
It was.
There was Band-Aid. Is that AIDS? Anyway, Vinny, can you talk about whatever you're doing?
Fuck's sakes. Oh, what an introduction. Speaking of introductions, I'm going to start mine off with just sort of retelling the opening minute or two of the first scene of the show I'm going to talk about. So,
what is the show?
Well, he's a big reveal, isn't it? He's doing
we'll get to that. Fucking dick.
Gary Lineker appears, sat next to Ian Wright and Martin Keown.
No, he's doing match.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop that because I want Vinny to do it seriously. Right.
Okay.
Mark Goldbridge appeared.
3-0 to Palace. The scene...
People have called me pedos. 3-0 to Palace.
People have said all sorts of nonsense kids. 3-0 to Palace. It's just so nonchalantly. Anyway. So the scene opens with a man on his own in a waiting room. He's transfixed by an erotic decorative statue. After some time staring at the figure, a door opens to reveal a woman. She greets the man warmly and asks him to come inside with her, where they will sit in silence and gaze at each other for a moment. The woman finally breaks the silence, asking the man about his recent panic attack. He begrudgingly starts to tell her about the morning of the day of the attack, and hence why he was referred to her by his physician. Thus begins what would become the most important television series of all time, The Sopranos. So,
that's how it opens.
That's how it opens. So,
weird.
So, to give you a very brief synopsis of at least the premise of the show, what I ripped off of Google. So, it's about a man named Tony Soprano. He's an Italian-American mafia head who's based in New Jersey. And the story is about him, how he struggles to manage both his family and his criminal life and confides his affairs to his psychiatrist, a woman named Jennifer Melfi. That's as brief as it's going to get. That's the premise. So, mafia, and he's got a therapist.
I thought it was about Gabagool.
Gabagool. Wow. There's lots of gabagool. Just you wait. Now, going back to that opening scene, this would be the first of many exchanges between Tony and Dr. Melfi, which would become a staple of the show and just another example of its brilliantly sophisticated writing.
Is that happening like in real time with the show, or is it like? Because I fucking hate those shows where it's like it opens with the character talking to his doctor, and they are the narrator telling the show in the past tense. No. I hate that. If you're writing a TV show, don't do that. No, it's
like How I Met Your Mother.
It's balls. Yeah, like How I Met Your Mother. It's terrible because now you're always in the past.
No, but it's a bit like well.
And what about and they always do a thing with the untrustworthy narrator or whatever, unreliable narrator, where they're like, oh no, actually that's not how it happened, as they're telling the doctor. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm not actually watching a story. Some random bloke is telling a story from his vague memory of it actually happening.
I like it. I think it's a creative plot writing device, but it's not that. Done. It's not that.
Good. Gets a plus point for me then.
So yeah, the all throughout the show, he's seeing this psychiatrist, Dr. Melfi, And whilst these would present a good opportunity for Tony to naturally convey to Dr. Melfi and thus the audience how he feels, as the show progresses, in reality, they instead showcase just the multifaceted and fantastically complex nature of Tony's mind. Tony Soprano, without a doubt, is the most interesting and morally ambiguous character I've ever seen in any work of fiction. Hands down.
That's a big statement, morally ambiguous as well, because there are a lot of morally ambiguous characters out there.
Wow,
Exactly.
Heisenberg being one of them.
Nah, he's a fucking asshole.
But to be honest, the first time watching Breaking Bad, I felt he was pretty ambiguous throughout most of it, then got pretty evil towards the end. Watching it the second time, I realized pretty early on that he's a dickhead. Like, he's not a good person. Yeah.
He starts out good, and then he just snaps.
Yeah, there's a moment where he just snaps, yeah. So, Tony, he's a walking contradiction. A man surrounded by people at all times, but completely alone. A warm family man, but a cold and distant crime boss. He has his morals, but he's crooked. Gentle, but violent. Calculated, but chaotic. And one of the most difficult questions to answer in all of fiction is that of Tony Soprano's morality. Is he a good person or not? And that's one of the themes the show tries to tackle throughout. He may cross the line at points, but as the viewer, we can see all of the sides to his story and what actions had led him up to that point. I mentioned panic attacks earlier. This is why he first started going to the sessions with Dr. Melfi. You see, his panic attacks happen when he feels he's losing control in life. He'll tell Dr. Melfi in these therapy sessions that he's just a victim of circumstance, that free will is just a myth. You're born to this shit, is what he says.
He's a big fat guy, isn't he? I've seen him, but I can never.
Guy, yeah.
He reminds me of. Have you seen the movie Football Factory with Danny Dyer?
I haven't actually. I actually haven't.
He reminds me of like the main big fat hooligan in that. Like, he looks really. Tony, yeah. Tony Soprano is like the American Italian version of the big fat guy in Football Factory.
Yeah,
which is got Danny Dyer in it. Cool. I'll send you a photo of him.
Okay, great. But yeah, no, honestly, I don't actually mention it, but James Gandolfi as Tony Soprano, he fucking not only does he nail the part, he like is the influence for like most kind of fat mafioso people in movies and TV shows. Absolutely. His everything down to his accent and his like mannerisms are just like, that's a gangster. That's an Italian American gangster. Like, it's perfectly hits the spot. One of the best action performances I've ever seen. Did you send it?
No, I can't find a good picture of him. Oh, he looks like this. How do you send an image? Copy link. Off Google. Is this how you do it?
Copy image.
Copy image.
He didn't have a computer most of his life, Savek. Don't be mean.
Fuck you, Seb. Can I paste it into WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's new to this shit. No, he fucking doesn't.
Yes,
not.
he does.
No, he fucking doesn't.
Yeah, but maybe when you like actually watch the thing, he looks like this guy.
He absolutely does not look like Tony Soprano. That's
What is
terrible.
that? I didn't get anything like him.
Yeah, look at him. I got this now. I can copy all the images. Don't.
That's what he looks
Hey,
like.
Gabagool, look at him.
It's a Football Factory. Hey.
Right.
That fucking meme you put up of Kanye saying, "I will never make a diss record." Just fucking rap.
It was in my head all today. I was just like, that's so good.
I just kept thinking about it.
God, where the hell was I?
Sorry. That's my fault.
You were saying that the guy, Tony Soprano, looks a bit like the guy from Football Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a heavy set guy. Yeah, he nails what it is to be an Italian gangster, Italian American gangster. So yeah, he'll tell Dr. Melfi in these therapy sessions that he's just a victim of circumstance, that free will is just a myth. He was always going to walk down this path no matter what choices he made in life. And that is another big theme, the idea of, is free will real? Like, he makes these choices that limit his choices in the future, and he just thinks, this is the path that I'm on. And you kind of have to question it. Is this the path he's on? Because you can certainly empathize with that point. His mother is an extremely difficult woman with a major personality disorder, making caring for her in her old age a chore that burdens his entire existence. His father and uncle were gangsters, and his entire close family had ties to the mob at all times. Everywhere he looked, he was around murderers and thieves. What choice did he really have? But, as Tony tells Melfi in the first episode, he feels like he came into this life at the wrong time, that the golden days are long behind him. The first season of The Sopranos came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, when the mafia was a dying breed. All the great crime bosses had either been ratted on, killed, or they themselves ratted to get an easier life or a better sentence. The mafia had become a business empire which emphasized making money over anything and everything else, leaving the camaraderie and the loyalty of previous mob generations by the wayside. The 2000s also brought Americans nothing but unease and anxiety over the future in a post 9/11 world.
I was going to say over airplane travel.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. With the FBI in the series being far more interested... With the FBI in the series being far more interested in taking down terrorists than the mafia. Now, these are just some of the themes that are beautifully woven into not only the story, but the characters who live in this story and in the world. Speaking of the other characters, there are a fuckload. So, almost all of them are pretty much just as interesting and complex as Tony. Carmela, played by Eddie Falco, gives the performance of her lifetime as Tony's wife, who constantly questions the morality of accepting their beautiful home and the luxuries they now have, which are deeply steeped in the blood of the innocent and not so innocent as she probably suspects. His cousin, the young mob soldier Christopher, battles with drug addiction and his own loyalty to the family, whilst he struggles to maintain his relationship with his girlfriend and ambitions of achieving great things outside of the crime world. Each season brings with it new characters and new antagonists, all of them incredibly memorable and expertly written to just give the highest level of drama and the most complications for Tony to have to deal with. Some of these characters, no joke, are absolute fucking show stealers. There's this one character in season 4, I think, called Ralphie, and he is the biggest.
I've heard the name Ralphie.
Ralphie Cifaretto. He's the biggest show stealer he is the biggest piece of shit. He is such a vile bastard piece of shit cunt. But he just has this like shit-eating grin the whole time, and he just like cracks these jokes, and he's just like this absolute
like
little
Bolton Ramsey.
He's just a little shit stirrer, and he's hilarious. He's so entertaining, but he's just the most vile person you'll see.
Not Bolton, Ramsey Bolton from Game of Thrones, like that.
Not like Ramsey Bolton's more like a serial killer. He's not. Like,
he's evil.
Yeah, he's definitely got like he's definitely like a psychopath or a sociopath. He's got no empathy, and like he likes taking it out on other people and stuff like that. But yeah, and some of these antagonists really show and really hit home some of the most depraved and dark aspects of our society. And there are some really fucked up moments throughout the show's runtime. Believe me, there's some really fucked up shit.
Yeah.
That being said, moving on, Sopranos is actually
We're going to give examples.
No, I'm moving on.
Sopranos is a comedy.
Sopranos is a comedy. Yeah, it's actually really funny. So
what is it actually though? Was it supposed to be a drama?
It's everything. It's a comedy, it's a drama, it's comedy drama, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it written as a comedy?
It's not like a comedy as in like there's a laugh track and it's like over like someone slips on a banana peel or someone farts and it's like
there are funny moments.
Yeah, there's like funny moments written. It's like how Breaking Bad has like funny moments written.
Breaking Bad has lots of funny bits, yeah.
But it still like keeps that like really serious tone when it needs to be serious. Yeah, so it is listed with hilarious quotes and moments which will just live rent-free in my mind for all time. Especially the character of Paulie Walnuts, who I've probably made you guys watch a montage of him. He's the Eiton guy who's always like showing his ring to the camera. He does that. Like he points at things, but he has like a big ring on his pinky. So he like is always like kind of showing it off, being like, Eiton! So yeah, he's this old
Paulie Walnut.
Paulie Walnuts.
His second name is not Walnuts.
Paulie Walnuts. He's this old school mobster who just can't help but put his foot in his mouth at any opportunity he's given. And there are a lot of amazing characters who have their own great stories and are all given this ample time to grow and slot into the world perfectly. And I didn't mention it's 6 seasons, but it doesn't feel like 6 seasons because every season, it's weird because even with Breaking Bad, I love it, it's fantastic, but most people kind of say, yeah, season 4's like the best season. And like season 3 has a lull, and a lot of people aren't massive on season 1. But there's no consensus on what's the best season of Sopranos. They're all so good, and like
just
in
the
that,
same. Yeah,
they're all just the quality is just the same throughout. But they all
consistency,
deal with different themes. There's different things going on that like reshape how you feel about the world and how you feel about Tony.
Is Sopranos? Is that? I remember a colleague showing me this scene once, and it was like a mafia guy, and then he was like an older guy, and then he was seeing this woman, and then this woman like told everyone that he'd like bought her flowers or something, and he like goes crazy and like puts something in her face.
Oh no, are you on about him because he ate out? He ate that woman out and she loved it, and they're like very kind of like against that because it's kind of.
Yeah, it's not flowers. Like he goes down on someone, and then she tells everyone, and then he like shoves a pie in her face and calls her like a dumb cunt.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like it's a comedy, like it's a dark comedy. It's a comedy.
That's not from Sopranos. That's from Football Factory.
Fuck's sakes. But I should mention one thing about The Sopranos, and this is probably my main sticking point. It changed the entire game, and to explain what I mean. Let's go back to January 1999, when that opening scene was first televised. The 90s saw television dominated by comedic sitcoms like Friends or Seinfeld. All of the best writers and actors in the industry were in film, not TV. Everyone knows that. Audiences had never witnessed something with the quality of the big screen, but on the small screen. All of the modern TV tropes about morally grey characters, actions having major consequences down the line, and even main characters dying, all got their start in The Sopranos. It was such a shocking revolution at the time, that the show's producers, HBO, did not like it. They didn't bite one bit. You see, the 5th ever episode of the series, titled College, was the turning point for everything. The plot of the episode centers around Tony, and he's driving around his daughter around Maine so that she can interview for colleges that she wants to attend. But whilst filling up at a petrol station, he spots someone also filling up that he recognizes. And that person was a snitch. He had ratted on the mafia to get a lessened sentence when he got caught. And the thing about snitches is they indeed get stitches.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that.
Now, up to this point in The Sopranos, the audience is still kind of getting to know Tony. Although he is a mob boss, he's still portrayed as a man with his morals. He loves his family. He's kind to his friends. He's good to his people. He's someone you could be like, I can kind of relate to some of these things, even though he's a mob boss at the end
I'm
of the
a
day.
mob boss. Yeah, exactly.
But he's one of the good ones, you kind of think.
So you can relate to Walter White, even though you're not a meth dealer.
Yeah, up until he kills like 1 million people.
Yeah.
That bit maybe it's not much. And you can see it in the episode how he knows he has to follow the mafia code and ice this guy, but he just feels extremely conflicted, because he's with his daughter. She's not part of that world. He doesn't want her anywhere near that part of the world. And he could always just pretend he didn't see him. Like, I just didn't see him. That don't ruin this trip. Just have a nice trip with my daughter. Get to know my daughter. All this nice stuff. Let the man live his life. But the episode would controversially end with Tony murdering this man in cold blood while his daughter is none the wiser. HBO originally told showrunner David Chase that this action would be very negatively received by audiences, as they weren't happy with portraying the main character in their series as a cold-blooded killer. But Chase got his way, thankfully, and College became the first really great episode in what would later become as just a straight-up masterpiece of a series. Audiences had never seen anything like this before. Tony had crossed the boundaries on what a main character in a TV show should be and how they should act when given the opportunity to do the good thing, to do the right thing. Everywhere you look now, interesting, morally ambiguous characters are the hallmark of every great show. Without The Sopranos, you wouldn't have The Wire, or you wouldn't have Breaking Bad.
That's the thing. The Sopranos started what is referred to as the golden age of adult TV drama, because it was the first one to bring like an adult TV show that isn't just fucking Seinfeld to big audiences, which has that big budget, like cinema quality. Every episode is like an hour long and fucking epic. Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, like every big adult focused drama that doesn't just have, it's not just a comedy, it's not just this, it's not just that, it has everything. The Sopranos is, The Wire is another one. The Sopranos is heavily credited as kind of kickstarting that trend. Some people say Breaking Bad is the ending of it as well, because since that, things have gone up and down in the television space. But that was just one critic I heard.
I love Better Call Saul. I think
Better Call Saul is good. Yeah,
I also think it's that thing of like, I would say the same amount of great TV shows are being made, but the what's it called? Like the proportion of great TV shows to the shows being made is a lot lower. So like when The Sopranos came out, it was the only one of its kind.
Yeah.
Like, whereas now everyone's trying to do like an edgy, long-running TV series with morally ambiguous characters. Like, they've even done a fucking Star Wars one with like Andor, and like even the Mandalorian. He's like kind of morally ambiguous. Like, he's not a great guy. He's a bounty hunter. Like, everyone's up to it now. And some of those shows are great and some of them aren't so great. Like, there are really good series still being made, but like, there's a lot more of them, and so not all of them are good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
but The Sopranos gets the credit for kind of starting that still, I think.
I didn't know. I always thought it was Lost. I always thought Lost was the first like massive.
Lost came out after.
Yeah,
I think.
Because I remember people were obsessed with Lost. Like, that was huge.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think Lost would come out if The Sopranos didn't come out and wasn't such a huge success.
Yeah, Lost is in that golden age. The Wire, Breaking Bad, they're in that bit. That's the golden age. Dexter's fucking good. I'm watching Dexter right now. It's so good. He's so relatable, Dexter. I'm like, God, I could just be you, minus the murder.
Why can't I be you?
But like, he's like at like a yoga class, and he's like, "This is literally the worst thing I've ever experienced in my entire life." And the yoga teacher's like, "Lift your arms up," and I'm like, "That's me." I was like, "That is me." And then he was like, "I could just kill you so easily right now," while she's like making him dance, and he's like, ah.
But yeah, I just want to end on saying, when David Chase first wrote the pilot script, not only did he pioneer and usher in the golden years of television history, like Mork thankfully told everyone, but he wrote a story so engaging that it's still talked about and still talked about with the best to this very day. And like that was the thing, because Breaking Bad was my favorite show of all time. I loved it. I still love it. It's maybe my second favorite show of all time, or third. But when I finally was like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to actually watch The Sopranos, I'm going to get through it. Because, you know, it's supposed to be great. Everyone says it's great. You're going to love it.
Yeah, that's how I feel right now.
You hear about this,
I feel right now.
You hear about this, oh, it's great. You have to watch it. So you're just like, oh, fine, I'll watch it. But then I finish it, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was that good. Like, you know about the pioneering stuff, the stuff that it brought in this golden age of TV, but you don't realize it fully holds up completely. Yeah. It is as good, and in my opinion, if not better. Like, it's now replaced Breaking Bad for me. I truly love The Sopranos. I think it's something everyone really should watch.
So that's so funny, because I'm in that position now, and I was in that position with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Until you said I've got to watch it, and I was like, but everyone says it's great, but then people say this bit's shit, and I was like, oh, can I be bothered? Should I just watch Breaking Bad again? I know that's good. Yeah. And then I was like, right, I'll give it a go. And then like episodes like The Red Wedding, where I'm like, great. Game of Thrones is fucking sick. Like, yes, I get the hype. I need to do the same thing with Sopranos, because I've not seen it.
The Sopranos, what it has on, even on The Wire, because The Wire, to be honest, the second season I kind of stopped watching because it gets a bit, but Sopranos it maintains its quality for all 6 seasons, which is impressive. It keeps your attention.
Yeah.
Which is really
like Lost is really good, but again, the theme, like once they leave the island, but like the third and there's a late middle bit where you're like, okay, I feel like the writers have got the plot so fucking convoluted now, because they only planned probably to write 2 seasons. They only planned to write on the island, I reckon, and then they left, and they're like, shit, now what do we do? Maybe the island moves, maybe this, maybe that, and you're like, okay, none of this actually makes any sense, and it's just you become lost within Lost.
Oh, I think like it's always like I'm in awe of any show that can make like 6 seasons, 7 seasons and maintain quality. Like, there aren't many out there that have done that. Like, Game of Thrones is an absolute perfect example. Like, the first 3 or 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, I was like raptured by it. Like, I couldn't stop watching.
Yeah.
And then it just, and like 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just really like, it's such a like, and I do think that.
Isn't that a fault of the source material though? Because
it ran out.
The first 4 seasons he'd written the books, and then after that he hadn't written the books.
They had to start doing their own stuff, and it kind of started.
Yeah, they're like, let's make it up. Yeah,
and I think the main problem is the last.
Like if they made a sequel to Lord of the Rings without the source material, like, what should we do? Maybe Sauron comes back.
The main problem with that show was just that the writers were given permission. They were chosen to write some Star Wars film, I think, or Star Wars series. So they were like, oh, let's just get this done so we can do Star Wars.
Oh no!
So they rushed. They should have been like, it should have been stretched out. It could have ended on a decent note at least, not a catastrophic note like it did.
I think as well, like it lost like that. The thing that made it great was that you could be invested in a character for 4 series, and then they would just get murdered in like a really cold-blooded and not even particularly eventful way.
Just quick way, they're dead. They never get seen again. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. And then they kind of like by the end, you were like, people had the one thing that Game of Thrones characters never had was like plot armor, and by the end, you kind of felt like they did. Like you were like, Jon Snow's not going to die. Cersei's not going to die.
Yeah,
he did die.
Or like, or not going to like.
That's when it changed for me. When he came back, I was like, all right, okay, he's there till the end now. Come on.
Yeah,
he should have just gone. Like, it was way more interesting when he just died, and that was it. Yeah. And you were like, oh, that's like his whole vibe. And then like also him die. Sorry, we're really just talking about Game of Thrones now, but like the way they used him like being killed and then brought back to life meant that he didn't have to be with the Night's Watch anymore. You're like, oh.
Hand wavy,
yeah. It's just like we want him to go on another adventure. Yeah,
it was just like, oh, whatever. And like, also, this is my last thing, which is, I think is super true of it, is that like as the actors got to be bigger and bigger stars, they had too much star power being in the show, so they couldn't get rid of them. And also, they couldn't ask them to do the things that they had done in the first few seasons, which was what made it feel so like rough and ready, and you like didn't know what was gonna, what was gonna happen. Any hoodles, that leaves me to crown the greatest TV show of all time, and I think it's a really interesting one because I do think you've both picked two shows which represent both ends of probably the golden era of like adult TV series, as Mork said. Like The Sopranos kicked it off, and I kind of think that, I know I said earlier like TV shows are still being made, but I feel like
the peak golden era is where I feel like the absolute peak.
To be honest, I don't know. I disagree with that. I disagree with that because I think you just only remember the good stuff. You forget the bad stuff. So then you only remember the bad stuff recently, and that's so like, recently it's been shit. But
also like you said, like Lost was made and during that time, and that was a bit of a damp squib, and like
Lost was great. It just got confusing. Lost. People fucking love Lost. It's like most people's favorite TV show.
I mean,
that's true.
Wasn't it? Didn't it fall off?
But that's like, I think like
not really. It was okay. Like not massively. Not as bad as Game of Thrones.
Did it turn out to all be a dream or something?
No, it was all this weird thing about time travel and shit like that.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, which I think is what's a testament is that you both pick shows that have incredible longevity. Like obviously, Breaking Bad is still massive, and like they made that film El Camino, which was really big afterwards, and then they made Better Call Saul, which again is like really held up. I think like they've done a really good job of maintaining that. And then, I've not watched Sopranos either, but to have made 6 series and for it not to have dropped off. And I also think like that even just that trope of like, which is such a like common thing now in TV shows where it's like, oh, here's this main character that you thought you liked, and then he's just going to go around the back and like murder someone. And then you realize like, oh, he's not who you thought he was. He's more complicated than that, But I do have to make a decision.
The thing is, I'd say about Sopranos is, I kind of realize is, it is like a really not an intellectual show. It makes you sound like a fucking.
Sounds like Rick and Morty.
No, it's just like it is very deep.
You don't get it.
It's very deep and complex, but it doesn't feel that way because the stuff it gives you on the front surface is still just as good as the stuff you can really dive into. It doesn't feel like it's particularly a smart thing. It just feels like, oh yeah, that character does that because I can see that character doing this, I can see that character doing that, I can understand all this. And anyway, sorry, just
Breaking Bad has a bit of that as well. I think that's any really good show has that, where you can easily follow along. You don't have to be like a fucking super genius to like get the nuance, but there's nuance there if you dig for it. That's what makes a good show. It's
complicated without being convoluted, and I think it's really hard to do that. To do something,
it is hard to do that.
Communicate a complicated idea in an easily digestible way is very hard to do. And to be fair, I think Breaking Bad does that as well, but I think personally more so Sopranos.
I mean, I think it's also like the Sopranos, that even that trope of like talking to a therapist, like I've just been sat thinking like, oh, he does that in Mr. Robot. Like that's a big part of the plot of Mr. Robot is like he's talking the whole like he basically is only really honest with one person.
He's not a normal human in Mr. Robot.
He's a robot.
No, he doesn't have a normal human face, that guy.
But no, he like the whole that's such a good show, man. The first season, Mr. Robot.
Do the maths,
But no, like that whole show is like he only ever talks to his therapist, and like he's that's the only person he's like honest with is his therapist, and like so you like everyone else just sees him as this like boring computer tech. He's like way more honest about it, and then there's this fucking incredible reveal where he does his like breakdown of a person, which he does to everyone, where he like goes through all their like web history and everything, and he like does it to his therapist, like to her face, and you just see her like start to like the illusion shatters. Anyway, that's not what we're fucking talking about today. The greatest TV show of all time. What do I think it is?
Rings of Power. I've changed my mind. That's the tiny
it's definitely not Rings of Power. Rings of Power was absolutely.
Did you watch it?
It was adequate. Yeah, I watched the whole thing and I quite enjoyed it.
That's good then. I thought it was good. I'm looking forward to season 2 this year as a massive lore nerd as well.
Anyway, let me please come to a conclusion. I just think, to me, it's pretty obvious. I think it is Sopranos. I just think to have kicked everything off like that, to have exactly. I didn't know.
How can that be the greatest when everyone's just going,
Marone. Breaking Bad is fantastic.
You just don't like it because it scared you.
It didn't.
You're taking personal biasing because you thought Breaking Bad was too scary.
It didn't scare me at all. But what I will say is that I think that they're both potentially, it's very hard to pick and choose between them. They're of equal weight as shows. Yeah. And therefore I have to give credit, the kind of deciding factor there. I'm not going to say, oh, you should watch The Sopranos and not watch Breaking Bad. The weight comes to the fact that Sopranos was such a pivotal moment in TV. And I think that even a concept like, here's this mob boss talking to his therapist, that train of thought of like, oh, let's take this, like, what's the word I'm looking for? This subversive idea of like a very big brash guy, macho guy talking to his therapist and showing his vulnerable side. It's not a million leaps away from being like, right, so we've got this really nerdy professor, this really nerdy high school teacher, but actually he's a drug dealer. Like, it's a similar thing. It's like, let's take this concept that's going to blow people's minds and it's going to be like super subversive and flip it on its head. And I think the fact that Sopranos was what ushered that in, you have to give it the credit for that. And so that's why I'm going to pick it as the greatest show of all time, greatest TV show of all time, or the greatest TV series of all time. Can't remember what we decided this episode was called, but see a drink.
Yeah, I was because it's hard to really tell. Like, it is obviously very subjective. Like, do you think this character is more engaging than that character? Is this plot better than that plot? And it's like, you'll have different answers from different people. And
well, some people's greatest TV show of all time is The Big Bang Theory, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, I would say Breaking Bad. I think Breaking Bad's a bit more entertaining because there's more like super high stakes and, oh fuck, how are they going to get out of this one? There's a lot of that sort of thing back to back to back, which is like, whoa. Whereas Sopranos is a bit more like, it kind of lets you relax a lot more, and there's more like, it feels like you're actually in a world that's not like a. Breaking Bad does feel like a bit of like a roller coaster, whereas this feels like an actual world to
that you're living in.
Yeah, with these incredible characters and these incredible storylines.
I think that's the thing. I mean, the truth is, it was never going to be a sitcom. I mean, we could do the greatest sitcom of all time if we had another 100 episodes left.
We did.
Did we?
Yeah. In Betweeners was crowned as and you chose Black Books. Do you not remember that? You chose Black Books.
Black Books? No, didn't you choose Spaced?
No, it was Spaced. Sorry, it was Spaced. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember that at all.
And I read the whole script of The Inbetweeners.
Yes, you had the book, didn't you?
Yeah. My whole presentation was me just quoting The Inbetweeners.
And it won. That won.
Because it's that
good. No, well, yeah, look, I mean, I don't know if I'd still pick, right? I might pick Space, but anyway, like
Gabagool.
But yes, the great. I just think you got back to Sopranos. I mean, you're like what that show did and what it brought
like
about.
You said, it was never going to be like Young Sheldon.
No, exactly. It's going to be.
I nearly
picked.
I nearly left the mother of my child, but when I caught her watching it, I was this close.
Nice, fair play.
It's good to hear.
Can I just say something? I've never watched Young Sheldon, but The Big Bang Theory is fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm so glad this podcast is ending soon.
No, it's fine. It's just fine. It's not. I'm not saying it's good. It's just fine. It's like much. Isn't it? It's like
remember, Mork, he likes Fast and Furious, so
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no, no, no,
Just
no,
nod
no,
and
no,
say,
no,
yeah,
no, no,
that's
no,
fine.
no, no, no,
Sure
no,
thing,
no,
champ.
don't-
Ruffle
No,
your
no, no,
hair.
no, 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 no.
Oh, who likes Big Bang Theory?
No, 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 no. It's vanilla custard.
He
Honestly,
smiled.
I will
It's
say,
vanilla custard. It's
Yeah,
just fine. It's just edible. It's just consumable.
It's
not
literally Budweiser. Like Budweiser doesn't really
Yeah.
have much of a taste, but there's a
No,
reason why
it's
it's so popular.
No. It's Budweiser, alcohol-free. No taste, no effect. It doesn't even get you. You can't even drink it thinking it tastes like shit, but at least I'm getting pissed. You're not even getting pissed.
But I think, do you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Right. Imagine you're really ill, or you're having those like weird fever sweats where like everything feels a bit weird and you're kind of freaking out, or like maybe you're like you're on a bit of a come down. The Big Bang Theory is the sort of show you watch just to like fill your brain with nothing. It's low stakes, nothing. It's just bump. Like I would watch that. I would watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's one of my favorite shows.
I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine's a bit better than
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is significantly better.
Yeah.
I'd
Massively better. Bazinga!
But I agree, it's kind of in that sort of realm. I kind of overly
New Girl,
American sitcom
like-
that you kind of just fall asleep to kind of thing.
New Girl's still watching.
Right.
Anyway, it's like a bit. I think it's like a bit of a dark. But, look.
Didn't hear any of that.
Anyway, that is the end of this week's episode of Goats. Thank you all so much for listening to us debate the greatest episode of all time. No, fucking Christ, that put yourself together. Thank you all so much for listening to the greatest TV series of all time. I've been Sebek, and I'm on the edge of a panic attack. And Vinny and Mork, thank you for having me. Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Bye.
Oh, in time.